TCL is a proud sponsor of the Score North Studios. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Write this down.
That's right. And it is a Write That Down Wednesday edition of Purple Daily, which we're going to get into in just a moment. We are the only show in America that actually keeps track of our predictions and holds each other accountable. We're not afraid to face the music. When people always when they'll tweet at us or something and they'll say, well, can I come back and throw it in your face if you were wrong? It's like, I mean, you can. We do it every Wednesday.
That's the point.
On the show.
The point of the whole segment.
We
to mock ourselves.
We don't fear being wrong in our reckless speculation. We bring guest listener predictors in, so we'll get to that in a second. Write That Down is powered each week by Federated Mutual Insurance Company, one of our partners here on Purple Daily and at Score North. And Federated recently launched My Shield for any of you business owners out there, the online client destination for risk management resources. As a business owner, think about how helpful it would be for you to have employee training at your fingertips, industry resources that can help your business reach another level of success. That's what Federated and My Shield bring to you. Find out more at federatedinsurance.com or download the app. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. Let's hit it, Dex.
Most make predictions and then never admit they're wrong. Yeah, that's not Mackey and Judd. This is the place where we just totally own our horrible predictions.
Write this down.
And eat them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Write that down.
It's Write That Down.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
With Mackey and Judd.
Here's how it works. Every single week, 3 Vikings or football-related predictions from everybody. They must be quantifiable. We keep track in this edition. We also have the classic Write That Down edition on Mackey and Judd, our other podcast you can find on Apple, Spotify, ScoreNorth.com, the Score North app, and YouTube. We keep track of home runs and batting average in that edition. For the football edition, it's completion percentage and touchdowns. And boys, a couple of touchdown passes came off the board this weekend.
This is going to be brutal.
Someone's throwing bombs down the field.
This is going to be brutal. You've changed your whole strategy on the record now because you just threw 2 touchdown passes. I've decided average and completion percentage don't matter.
I'm Jameis Winston. I don't care about anything other than just throwing the ball down the
32
field.
and 31.
Listeners, if you want to be part of the show on a Wednesday, you can hit me or Declan up in our Twitter DMs at Phil Mackey, at Dex's tweets, and we'll get you scheduled in. Let's start out with Judd Zulgad. A few things came off the board for Judd. All right.
Yeah, some Super Bowl stuff.
A little bit of a mixed bag here. Number one,
that's not too bad.
You said Eric Church and Jasmine Sullivan would go over 2 minutes for the national anthem, and boy, did they ever. They went like 2:18 or something.
Yeah, I timed it.
Come on, bud. Did you? I saw someone there was a video on Barstool or somewhere. Someone was standing outside the stadium, timing the practice run of the national anthem.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I heard about that and it leaked out.
Yeah.
And so I think they took it off the board.
Okay.
As far as a betting prop.
Pretty genius.
But I did not see that.
There was also
I just thought the 2 people couldn't possibly go under 2.
Is it also accurate that the guy who jumped on the field and did the streaking thing with the singlet, there was a meme going around or a photo going around that he placed some massive bet, $50,000 bet to win $500,000 or something.
Oh, is that what it was?
That there would be a streaker on the field.
I saw that story.
Some bookie?
I saw that headline. I didn't know. Okay.
I don't know if that's true, but that's hilarious if it's true.
Good for him.
Would you get arrested, get some sort of a
fine
charge on your record and a fine for $300,000? Now, I don't think that bookie's going to pay up. I don't even know if it's true, but it's hilarious. Judd said Klint Kubiak would be the next Vikings offensive coordinator.
Nice bunt by me.
Yeah, good for you.
However, you said within the first 3 questions of Tom Brady's Super Bowl post-game press conference that he will be asked about his future.
And he wasn't?
I found the transcript.
Okay.
He was not asked about his future within the first 3 questions.
Those reporters did not do a good job.
I think this was more, if he loses, it was more likely that he would be asked
both
about
ways,
his future.
but yeah.
Okay.
No, if you found the transcript, you found the transcript.
And then you said Pat Mahomes will be the MVP of the Super Bowl this Sunday.
Well, I had the right position. I had the right position.
I did not.
I had a bunch of stuff come off the board. I said Tom Brady would overcome a double-digit second-half deficit to win the Super Bowl. I said Tyreek Hill will once again go over 200 yards of total offense in the Super Bowl, just like he did in the first quarter of their first meeting this season.
Nope.
And I said at least one of the two teams will connect on a Hail Mary of 40 or more yards to close out a half inside 10 seconds. But boys, shooters got to shoot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take in life. And that's why I told you that Antoine Winfield Jr. would force at least a turnover or a fumble
very
in
good.
the Super Bowl.
It's a victory lap.
Thank you.
Shooters got to shoot. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, it was a wonderful deflected interception for Antoine Winfield Jr., who also got screwed later in the game for throwing the deuces up to Tyreek Hill. I mean, what goes around comes around. Let's not
I didn't
be
know about
flag
that,
happy.
but that's a good story. Yep.
But that's not it. Old wily veteran Phil Mackey dropped back in the pocket a second time and threw a ball down the field when he predicted that Tampa Bay would win the Super Bowl and that Mike Remmers specifically would give up at least 5 pressures, which is a terrible game, according to Pro Football Focus. A parlay, the results, and another touchdown. I believe it was 6 pressures allowed by Mike Remmers. And one of his teammates, I think the other tackle, allowed like 8 or 9 pressures.
Yeah, because the right tackle had been the right guard. He moved to right tackle. The right tackle was Remmers, who moved to left tackle, and then Wisniewski, who had been like waived by Pittsburgh, played right guard.
Yeah.
But anyway, congratulations, Phil. You did a great job. It's a victory lap. It's 2 touchdowns.
And real quick, because I have to throw this out. I've heard so many people, whether they're coming at us or just, sending out, as part of Vikings Twitter, for instance, saying, I mean, look at all these people that said Pat Mahomes could overcome a bad offensive line. See, it's like, first of all, what is your argument? Is your argument that Pat Mahomes isn't great? Is your argument that if you compare Pat Mahomes to Kirk Cousins, that they are the same? Like, Pat Mahomes has a better chance to overcome deficiencies than any quarterback in the NFL. And I think the game on Sunday just proved that the deficiencies, when you're missing that many pieces and you're going up against Tom Brady and that Bucs defensive front, like, you can't overcome everything all the time.
He had no offensive line. Like, his tackles couldn't play.
Yeah. And the Vikings had a terrible offensive line too, but they never had a game where both tackles were literally rendered blocking dummies.
Their tackles were never awful.
In fact, the tackles
are pretty solid.
2 above average pieces of the offensive line.
Exactly.
Vikings offensive line is garbage at pass.
Oh, I thought this was Declan's.
No, the listeners had a rough week.
Okay.
Yeah. Josh said on Saturday night, Justin Jefferson will win Offensive Rookie of the Year. He should have.
He got trounced in voting. He got absolutely destroyed. I was surprised by that.
He's a lot better right now at his position and his job than Justin Herbert is at his, even though Justin Herbert's good. You could make a case that Justin Jefferson is legitimately one of the 3 or 5 best receivers in the NFL right now.
He got 9 votes.
Yeah, that's just...
And I think Herbert got 42.
And just skewed toward quarterbacks.
Yep. It's a quarterback award.
Speaking of, Josh also predicted Chad Henne will throw at least 1 touchdown pass in the Super Bowl.
Respect the call.
Love that prediction.
Massive respect.
I had a feeling about that one.
That he would?
No, that he would.
Thanks, Judd.
Josh's first one was... I like a lot. The second one is like, yeah, okay.
Tyler said the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl by 14 points or more. And Spencer had a parlay. He said the Vikings will bring in Doug Peterson as the Vikings offensive coordinator, and Everson Griffin will come back. And so, I mean, Everson could come back, but that first thing.
Spencer put a lot on his plate with that prediction.
Declan had a busy week as well.
Oh, I got 2. Okay.
Declan said the Vikings' next offensive coordinator will be a former full-time NFL head coach. That was incorrect.
That's okay.
You said Travis Kelce will record the first touchdown for the Chiefs.
We're still waiting.
That's true, I guess, technically.
Like, if they go down back to Tampa.
You said a defensive player will sub in on offense and score a touchdown at some point in the Super Bowl. We did have an offensive lineman drop a pass.
We almost had a fat guy touchdown. We were so close.
And you said Tyler Johnson will have a catch of at least 15 yards in the Super Bowl. He did not. But you did say Pat Mahomes would not win Super Bowl MVP and that the winning team in the Super Bowl will score at least 20.
Not a bad week.
That's not bad. We can all
Not a bad
point,
week. I thought it was a lot worse.
Pretty good. So here are the 2001 season stats. Judd Zulgad, 50% completions, no touchdowns.
I have a noodle arm.
Mackey and Declan both at 33% completions, but I have 3 touchdown passes on the year now.
You're
in
Dan
the first
Marino.
month.
I'm Bradford. You're Marino.
And the listeners are 0 and 0 in both of those categories.
My checkdowns have gone a long ways.
Write it down. You like writing things down. Write this down.
You're Mitch Trubisky right now. All right, let's get our guy in here. Sam is our guest listener predictor on Purple Daily. Write that down. Sam, are you ready for this?
I am ready. Yes.
All right, are you throwing the ball down the field? Are you checking down? What's your quarterback strategy?
I'm planning on throwing it down the field. I don't know if they'll work, but we'll see.
All right, I love it. Welcome to the Jameis Winston Club.
Trying to get those touchdowns. It might predict.
All right, so we'll start. Here's how it works. We're going to run the room 3 times, 3 predictions each. We'll start with Sam, Judd, Declan, Phil, and we'll go back around until we're done. So, Sam, you take the first snap here.
All right. My first prediction is Cameron Dantzler will lead the league in interceptions in 2021.
Ooh.
Okay, that's definitely throwing. That's driving the ball downfield, as they say.
I like it.
It's good.
I like it. Judd?
The Vikings will obtain a 2nd-round pick in the 2021 draft.
Didn't I make that call?
Okay.
I don't know.
You can still do it.
You can, if you guys, just to clarify, and for people that are new to the segment too, you can make the same prediction as somebody else from a different week. But if you make the same prediction the same week, you have to add to it.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think you did say that. You both had that prediction, but it was separate weeks.
Oh, we'll both get a hit.
And that's mostly because it just takes too long to dig through and be like,
no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't predict the Vikings can win the division.
Write this down.
I got you. All right. The Vikings will make a reported trade between now and when the new league year starts by March 17th.
Okay.
The Vikings will make
a
reported trade between now and when the new league year starts by March 17th.
Okay.
Well worded.
Reported.
Okay, I've got one kind of similar to Declan's here.
Write this down.
Prior to April, so I'm going to give a couple weeks into the new league year, which starts in the middle of March. So prior to April, the Vikings will either cut, restructure, or trade all 3 of these guys: Riley Reif, Kyle Rudolph, Harrison Smith. So they'll either cut, trade, or restructure Reif, Rudolph, and Harrison Smith.
Got it.
All 3 have to come off, or it doesn't count for me. I mean, Harrison Smith, I don't think he has any guaranteed money left, and the penalty to cut him, which they shouldn't, but the penalty to cut him is like 0-2. So his agent's going to say, listen, I mean, this guy, he's a Hall of Famer. Can we get some sort of assurances that he's going to be around for a couple of years? It doesn't make sense.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, back over to Sam.
All right. My second one is kind of like Phil's. Kirk Cousins and Anthony Barr will restructure their deals before March 17th.
The Kirk one's interesting. Because they almost have to, right? Like, I don't think people that keep going back to, well, what do you mean last year he didn't make that much money? His cap number was only 20. So this year, assuming that Big Ben gets restructured, and I think Matt Ryan's cap number this year is like 40 million. They're going to restructure that too. So if those guys get restructured, Kirk this year is going to have the 6th highest cap number among quarterbacks at 31 million. And next year, he'll have the highest cap number in 2022 at 45 million. His cap number right now, if no contracts changed for 2022, is higher than Pat Mahomes. So they either have to restructure or trade him. And if they restructure, it means you're guaranteeing more money at age 35 and potentially down the road. Yeah, so it's a big thing.
They could try and not restructure them for 2021, but then for sure you've got to do it in March of 2022. Like, you can't have that cap hit in 2022. You just can't. So
write it down. You like writing things down.
All right, Judd.
There will be a report by May 1st, okay, that the Vikings received at least 1 call on Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
For a potential
trade.
And
we haven't had that report technically
we
yet.
have not
We've had a lot
that.
of steam.
We've had steam, and there's been a lot of speculation or reports about different quarterbacks, but we will see a mainstream, so ESPN, not just some blogger. We'll see a mainstream report by May 1st. The Vikings received at least 1 call on Kirk Cousins.
What if the conversation happens in person? Does it count for Judd? What if we find out that Rick Spielman
it can't be.
had an in-person masks
pandemic,
safe discussion?
No,
and they weren't calling each other.
It's going to be, there will be a mainstream report that there was interest in Kirk Cousins.
They met at an Italian restaurant.
And everyone's got COVID now. Everybody's sick. Nobody can work anymore.
All right, back to Declan.
All right, Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, you and I have the same predictions this week.
You too.
Will not be on the Panthers by week 1 of next season. Is that your prediction?
No.
Okay, cool. So
very close, though.
Teddy Bridgewater will not be on the Panthers by week 1 of next season.
It's a good prediction.
Okay.
I went a little further.
Write this down.
Teddy Bridgewater, write this down, will be the starting quarterback in week 1 for the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh,
2021. Sam jumps out the window.
Oh, God.
You're basically launching bombs from your own 20 and trying to reach the end zone.
Well, listen. So again, just to clarify, this isn't completely out of thin air. Okay, we know Adam Schefter is reporting, and Adam Schefter doesn't just make stuff up. Adam Schefter, we did a deep dive into this on yesterday's episode, is reporting that for Matt Stafford, the Panthers offered the number 8 overall pick, a 5th round pick, and Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, so Stafford and Kirk Cousins pretty much in the same bin for 6 years as quarterbacks. You're telling me that they wouldn't do the exact same or similar trade? What if they said, we think Matt Stafford's better, so we're not going to give you the 8th overall pick, but like we'll give you a 2nd round pick and a 3rd round pick. Like we'll just alter we're going to keep our 8th because we like Stafford better.
Have to get a 1st round pick for Cousins.
You think so?
Absolutely.
You don't think they'd trade him for like
no.
a 2nd and a 3rd?
Nope.
Would you?
It would be a 1st round pick. Would I do it
for a 2nd and a 3rd?
I'd very much
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yes.
You know what? No, I can get your 1st round pick. No. If you were going to give the Lions the 8th pick for Stafford, there is no reason on God's green earth that I shouldn't get a 1st round pick.
Totally agree. The fact that that's out there now, it's like, come on, you guys.
I'm not going to take a 2nd and 3rd round pick. I want your 1st round pick, or we're done. We're done talking.
Write this down.
All right, back over to Sam. Your final throw here.
All right, this one's for my dad. Big fan of this guy. I think next season Josh Allen will win MVP.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I like that. I like that one. He's headed in that direction for sure. And Aaron Rodgers.
And we all mocked him for how
we all did.
Josh Allen, he can't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah, that's where write that down to accountability session and old tweets exposed come in handy.
Yes,
can't escape our Josh Allen.
Would you call it coming in handy?
Sam, since you've got this platform here now, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that got you to this moment?
I'd like to thank my fiance and my son for dealing with me for Vikings games. And shout out to my dad for making me a Vikings fan and making painful memories.
I was going to say, what's the shout out for?
What's the most painful Vikings have ever caused you?
So I faintly remember Brett Favre throwing it across the middle. Faintly remember that. Kind of hurt a little bit. I'm really young. I'm 22. So the one that I really remember is Blair Walsh, 2015. That one hurt a lot. So
yeah,
I know.
Well,
I'm really young.
Welcome to the club, Sam.
Aggressive.
I know.
All right. Yep. A new generation of Vikings.
New scars. New Viking scars.
Sam, thanks for jumping on, man. Great picks.
See ya.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's our guest listener predictor, Sam.
Write it down. You like writing things down.
I feel like when they say all those things, it's like, hi, Sam. Like it's like an AA meeting.
It is.
That's exactly what it is. We've done that
Blair
before.
Walsh. Hi, Sam.
Yeah.
I mean, we are one of the only fan bases that I think can just throw the year of the heartbreak out and everybody knows what you're talking
It's
about.
Cubs-like. But before they actually won a World
and
Series,
Red
it's
Sox.
very Cubs-like. 69, 84.
98, 09.
Yep.
Ugh,
It's very much like
17. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah, 17.
The Minneapolis Miracle let down. All right, Judd, your final prediction.
All right. Outside of the Vikings realm, my last one is actually a Pittsburgh Steelers prediction. The 2021 season will be Mike Tomlin's last as Steelers coach.
Really?
It will be his 15th year, which is the same.
He's young still, right?
Yeah, which is the same amount of years as Bill Cowher had before he stepped down. So I'm not saying so just to be clear, Dex, again, the 2021 season will be Mike Tomlin's last as Steelers coach. I'm not predicting how it will end.
Okay.
Like, I'm not saying fired. I'm not saying.
The 2021 season will be Mike Tomlin's last as Steelers head coach.
Thank you.
You got it.
I mean, won't he be the hottest commodity? I mean, how often do you see a guy just available with a Super Bowl track record like that in his prime still? I mean,
Right.
he can't be. Is he in his early 50s? He can't be that old, right?
No, I think he's late 40s, right?
Wow.
I think he's still late 40s. But I think he strikes me as the type of guy who would take a year off.
He's 48.
48.
So he might take a year off and then come back the next year and be a super hot commodity.
Or maybe there's a seamless transition back to where it all started as a defensive coordinator.
Do you want a defensive guy again?
Transition of power.
Well, but
Do you want a defensive guy?
But here's the thing. This is where he separates himself from Zimmer in a few ways. He's a defensive guy
He's a better coach.
that understands the CEO nature of being a head coach.
Okay.
He's not just like, I'm going to run the defense and
That's true.
like he has his hands in both. And
So you're saying he could bring in, or he would understand the importance of the offense and not just build around the defense.
Yeah, I think you could even argue that the Steelers definitely, when they were at their best under him, defense was driving it. But you could argue that the Steelers in Mike Tomlin's tenure have been just as known for offensive things as defensive things.
Big
Ben's going to go
yeah.
develop Big Ben. You know, Cowher got Big Ben for the first couple of years, but like he developed Big Ben into a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
And they've had wide receivers up and down for 15
Mike
years.
Tomlin
Running backs.
back to the Vikings is truly reckless speculation.
Reckless speculation. All right, Dex, your
All
final
right.
prediction.
My second favorite team, the Green Bay Packers, will draft a wide receiver in the first round of the 2021 NFL draft.
1 year too late.
Yeah.
1 year too late.
They're gonna-
Why didn't they just do that last year?
That would have been great.
Because
Could
they're idiots, but
on Instagram Live yesterday, someone threw out this idea, and could you imagine Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson together?
Yes.
That would have been, yeah, I know.
Yes, I could have. I've
see
talked
but
about
would
it
have been
before.
insane instead of MVS and
Aaron Rodgers
Alan Lazard and Judd Zolgad out playing wide receiver for the Packers. No offense to Judd.
with Devontae and JJ.
Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
been.
dude, that would have been ridiculous.
You can make a case those are the two best receivers in the NFL.
Write it down. You like writing
Way to go,
things
Green
down.
Bay.
Boys, final prediction. This is kind of a segue because we're gonna get into some Gary Kubiak Klint Kubiak. Might as well be. I mean, Klint Kubiak audio and video here, but I think he's going to have an influence on getting the Vikings to just open up the playbook within the system more. So write this down. The Vikings, I believe, were like 5th from the bottom of the league in pass attempts last year. So my prediction is, write this down. The Vikings will finish next season in the top 16 in the league in pass attempts. So they will at least get into the top half of the league in total pass attempts. I'm not saying that they all of a sudden become the Kansas City Chiefs and are just throwing all the time, but they're going to at least migrate toward a more progressive area when you've got the weapons that they have.
I hope you're
and
right.
throwing the ball offensively.
I have no confidence that's going to happen, but I hope
Write
you're
it
right.
down. You like writing things
And
down.
so those are your write that down predictions and your accountability session here for Purple Daily. Write that down every single Wednesday. We are the only show in America that keeps track of each other's predictions and holds each other accountable. And while we do it, we're oftentimes cheersing Corona Hard Seltzer, Declan Goff.
That is
aren't we?
right. Because Corona Hard Seltzer is the only hard seltzer made with pure beet fibers. I got my guy, Klint Kubiak. He's a young pup. He's only a few years older than I am. I think he would enjoy a nice Corona Hard Seltzer. And when he wants to open up that playbook, I think he cracks open a Blackberry Lime Corona Hard Seltzer because you can't keep running on second and long. And you have to go with Blackberry Lime now on second and long, Clint. So please take a note on the Corona Hard Seltzer because it's the only hard seltzer made with those pure beach vibes with a refreshing splash of fruit flavors such as tropical lime, mango, cherry, and blackberry lime. Corona Hard Seltzer is a tasty spiked sparkling water with a splash of natural fruit flavor that allows you to enjoy the moment. In each can, Corona Hard Seltzer has 0 carbs, 0 sugar, 90 calories, and is gluten-free. Relax responsibly. Corona Hard Seltzer, spiked sparkling water with natural flavors, imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Let's dive into a couple of these Klint Kubiak cuts. Do you have the one where he's talking about modernizing the offense, Declan? I think that's the biggest question people have is how do you take your dad's system, which has worked pretty darn well across the Broncos and the Texans and the Vikings, but not sure if you can use that same system and have it work at the level it needs to in today's NFL. How do you make that happen? This is Klint Kubiak.
Yeah, I think if we don't evolve, then we'll be left in the dust. You know, that's every team in the NFL. Always trying to find ways to evolve your scheme and try to make yourself less predictable. And that goes this time of year is a heavy self-scout time of year and studying other teams. But certainly we don't want to be rigid. We want to be open to growth, just so we can produce on Sunday.
And my question off of that then is, I like what he said. I like the idea. I think he's exactly right. Will his boss allow him that growth? Because that growth means going to his boss, Zim in this case, and saying, okay, Mike, you know what? My dad did a really nice job, but we used Dalvin Cook entirely too much. And that does not mean that Dalvin should not be used a lot, because he should be. But the notion that when in doubt, we are going to hand the ball off, which is the Vikings' philosophy from 2020, is not in 2021 a good one, okay? So if he can transfer what he said to the field and actually allow, and I know that this could go wildly wrong, but Kirk Cousins more opportunity to actually be a QB and take the kid gloves off consistently in big games, then I'm all for it. But I have my doubts when Klint. So I think Klint, Phil, is going to sit down, going to come up with a master plan, right? The master plan. This is my ideas. Dad's great, but I'm a younger Kubiak, and he's going to go and at some point in time sit down with people that supervise him and present the plan. I have real doubts if it's going to be accepted like I think it should be.
There's got to be some nuance involved. There's a way to manage up here. I think if you're Kubiak,
agree.
I think listen, Mike, or sir, I don't know what, Mr. Zimmer. I don't know what he's going to be forced to call Mike Zimmer. I think you need to show him this statistic first, okay? Because the goal here is we want to win a Super Bowl, and we want to look a little bit more like the teams in terms of strategy that are in the mix at the end of the season. So Chiefs, Bucks, Bills, Rodgers with the Packers, right? And obviously, we're not going to be able to turn Kirk Cousins into Aaron Rodgers overnight or into Pat Mahomes. So we have to do it more strategically.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just always be establishing the run for plays and plays on end early in games. And we can do a deeper dive into some of the X's and O's and get people on who know the scheme better than we do. But this one stood out the most to me when I was doing a deep dive yesterday, that the three teams that threw the ball the most in the first half in 2020 were the Chiefs, the Bucks, and the Bills. Let that sink in for a second. In terms of what is your offensive strategy? Is it establish the run to win the game, or are you establishing your best offense to take a lead and then run the ball late to grind clock and to wear a team down, right? Those three teams, the Chiefs, the Bucks, and the Bills, not only did they throw the ball the most out of all 32 teams in the first half last year, they all threw 100 more passes in the first half than the Vikings did last year. So, and again, well, yeah, but like Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, you're not going to just clone what the Chiefs are doing. And I get that. I'm not saying you have to clone what they're doing. What I'm saying is within your system, Kirk is great at play action. You've got these great weapons. Keep running your same system. Just take the system and turn it a little closer to being pass happy in the first half.
You've got the parts.
The Vikings go into every game and they think, and this is a Mike Zimmer edict, I am sure. They think, well, we need to first establish, like, our best strategy for winning this game is to first establish the run.
Yep.
And then we can get the pass game going once we've established the run. Not that they don't throw out of the gate. Like, they do throw out of the gate too, but in terms of statistically, they are one of the least passing teams in the first half. Now, what they might turn around and say is, okay, well, we got a bunch of run blocking offensive linemen. We got a bunch of zone schemers up here up front that aren't great at pass protection.
Yeah,
and I would say that's your fault. That's a you problem.
And you can start to fix that.
Yep. So you need some better pass protection so that you feel more comfortable using your pass attack within the system that you have, play action, everything, to score more points early and jump on teams so that you're not in a position where you're always fighting it out in the third and fourth quarter.
And I think in going to Mike as well and presenting my philosophy and my sort of persuasive argument as to why we need to tweak things in a general direction too, I think the selling point is this. Mike, if we are lucky enough to get to the Super Bowl and play for the championship, in that game, we are basically probably going to do a game plan that you love. Because what are fans going to say now? Look at what the Buccaneers did against the Chiefs. It worked. The Vikings philosophy works. And it does work at certain times, and it very well might work in that game. But the argument or the case that Klint Kubiak has off of what you're saying is this. How do we get there? Like you all season long. That's not how this works. But once you get there, Mike, Zim, you are the star. Like at that point in time, let's go for it. But how do we get there? And why don't we get there? Right? Why aren't you there? And it's because I think we all agree. This offense is legit, and this offense has the ability to pop it if it's done right and be really damn good. And it was good but how do we get it to really damn good? And if you morph things now, and now you've got Cousins to Jefferson, Thielen, Irv Smith, Cook involved. Think about that one. And if you added a third receiver by chance, how do you defend that if you run it right?
And I remain skeptical that Kirk has the bleep you DNA needed in the biggest of big games, in the biggest of big spots. Yeah. But since you're committed to him, you need to keep giving him resources and keep. The other thing too is if the Vikings come back and say, "Listen, we like Kirk. We don't want to put it all on his plate. We don't really trust him when we put it all on his plate." Then I would say, then why do you have $60+ million in guarantees going to him the next couple of years? Yeah. Why would you commit so much financially to someone you don't really trust and that you don't really want to, hit the throttle with? That's another thing that you need to wrestle with internally. Dex, let's fire some more Klint Kubiak here from his introductory press conference yesterday. What else we got?
Yeah, it's been an excellent relationship, mainly because he demands so much out of his coaches because the way he prepares. So, every day that I've been in the building with Kirk, I've become a better coach. So, nobody is working harder than him mentally and then getting his body ready for Sunday. I think as we move on to this next step, I don't see very much changing. We gotta get closer in order for us to keep moving forward.
I think the positive thing here, it's a little bit of a nepotism case, and he's like 33 years old, and would Eric Bieniemy be more qualified? Yes. Were you able to poach him? You can't just poach offensive coordinators. I guess his contract was up, so technically he could have left. But I am skeptical that this is going to be a home run hire, but I'm open-minded and I'm willing to trust that Klint Kubiak is in this position not just because of his last name. But the thing that I think maybe puts it over the top is he does have a great relationship with Kirk Cousins, and chemistry and rapport and respect between the franchise quarterback and the offensive coordinator is really important. Not to put him in the same sentence as Tom Brady, but guess what? Tom Brady and Josh McDaniels had great respect and communication and are texting each other late at night. We've seen situations in Pittsburgh before where Ben Roethlisberger hates what's his name? Todd Haley or something, right? So we know that at least off the start, there's not going to be friction between the offensive coordinator and the quarterback, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, but I think more importantly than the relationship between Kirk and Klint is this one, the trust. And can that trust be transferred to the coach? Because they can be great pals and, behind the scenes talking about, wouldn't it be great if we did this and we did that? And if Mike says, no, you can't do it. So I think the most important thing here, and I think what the Vikings have to do to get a definitive answer on Kirk is to trust him. It's to trust him, and it's to say, we have the components here to be a really high-powered offense fairly consistently. We definitely need to get the interior of the offensive line built up more. There's no doubt about that. But once that's done, if that's done correctly, right, you need to say, we trust you. So I don't care if you're pals. I don't care if you have hopes and dreams. What I care about is, can you execute those things on Sunday? And until the power transfers from Zimmer saying, you know what, bleep it, let's do it, and Klint calling that play, because I feel like that's the place where we always get to. And then Mike's like, oh, but I hate quarterbacks and kickers. I hate them both so much. And poor Klint's like, but I want to call this play.
Speaking of, the Vikings did sign a new kicker. The Vikings signed a new kicker with some guaranteed money. Was he on Tampa's practice squad?
Yeah, he was even protected throughout the entire practice squad. So he's like one of their designated protected players when he was on the practice squad.
Greg Joseph.
He's a really protectable practice squad player.
He's like 26 years old.
Yeah, this poor guy's going to be ruined. He's the next guy who's going to be ruined.
Let's see here. The Vikings, according to Ian Rappaport, the Vikings guaranteed a portion of his base salary. With the Vikings currently above the projected salary cap, the Vikings are likely to get rid of Dan Bailey, who is 33 years old, was mostly terrible last year, and has $1.8 million of his $2.7 base salary guaranteed on March 19th. That's an easy way to clear out $1.8 million when you are up against the salary cap. So a new kicker that we can all sweat and be nervous about in purple.
No position has been as mismanaged during the Zim regime as kicker. Like, I'm sorry. At some point in time, do all of these guys really suck? Like at some point in time, let these guys succeed or fail. But I feel like the pressure eventually gets to them all, young and old, right? And I will go back to the question that we've asked on this show about kickers for like 3 years now. What was wrong with Kai Forbath?
I know.
Like, he missed some PATs. Okay, dude. It happens now. Lots of guys do.
They've lit like 3 fifth-round picks on fire, just like trying to find kickers and long snappers and whatnot, right? I mean, punters.
But as much as it drives me nuts that Mike seems to despise quarterbacks, the kicker thing baffles me, because here's the thing. It's an important position.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, the kicker, who cares? No, you care. Can win you games, lose you games, right? How many guys do we have to see just absolutely mind-bleeped?
Sounds like another one.
poor, what's his name?
I'd have a couple others on speed dial around week 4, just to make sure.
Honest to God, it never ends.
All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of Purple Daily. We appreciate everyone who has subscribed to our YouTube channel and those of you who've given us a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple. If you do those 2 things, you can help us out during what's been a really tough year, but it's been fun growing these podcasts and YouTube audiences with all of you. And consider us your Vikings therapists on a daily basis. This is a Vikings lifestyle show, as we like to call it, and the only one you're going to find on a daily basis. So we'll see you guys tomorrow.